more distortionary taxes. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pomerleau. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. Our tax system is broken. Everywhere you look, there is one set of rules for most Americans and a different set of rules for the richest people. One of the most glaring examples of this is how the tax code treats wealth. The typical white family has about $188,000 in wealth. For Black and brown Americans, that number is far lower, just $36,000 for Latino families and $24,000 for Black families. So let's just focus for a minute on what wealth looks like at the top. Let me start here. Dr. Disney, if you don't mind my asking, how much wealth do you have, and how much did it grow last year?
I have about $120 million, maybe more, depending on how the stock market is on any given day. It grows at about 4 to 8% annually.
Okay, thank you. And so let's just say, you said 4 to 8%, let's just say an average growth of about 6%. That would mean that your wealth grew by about $7 million last year. That is almost 60 times the total wealth of the typical American family. So let's just for a minute talk about that increase. Do you know how much in taxes you will pay on your $7 million increase in wealth this year, Dr. Disney?
Not that much. It comes not from wages, but from things like dividends and capital gains and interest and so forth. So all of that qualifies for a lower tax rate than income.
All right. And what about your total $120 million fortune? How much do you think you'll pay in taxes on that this year?
Nothing. There's no wealth tax, so
why
it will never
not?
be taxed.
Yeah. So thank you. As I'm sure you know, your situation is not unique. In fact, 99% of Americans pay about 7.2% of their wealth in total taxes every year, but the top 0.1%, they only pay about 3.2%. The unfairness runs deep. Homeownership is the #1 way that most middle-class Americans build wealth, and those Americans pay property taxes every single year on that wealth. But if you are an ultra-millionaire or a billionaire, you have a million different kinds of assets: stock, paintings, diamonds, gold, cash, and you get to hang on to all of those assets as they appreciate without paying taxes. And if you decide to sell, you'll have an army of lawyers and an endless supply of carefully crafted tax loopholes to help you avoid paying taxes. Now, I've proposed a tax on the wealth of the very richest Americans. This is a 2-cent tax on every dollar of wealth above $50 million and a few cents more on every dollar above $1 billion. It would raise $3 trillion in revenue that we could use to build economic opportunity for every person in America, from universal child care to investments in education to fixing our roads and bridges. The tax would be paid by the wealthiest 100,000 families, including yours, Dr. Disney. Poll after poll shows that Republicans, Democrats, and independents support this idea. Now, not everybody loves it. Leon Cooperman, a hedge fund billionaire who was hauled up before the SEC for boosting his fortune by using illegal insider trading, is one critic. He has described my 2-cent wealth tax as dumping on the American dream. I invited him here to make his case to Congress today, but I guess he prefers to stay in the safe space of financial news networks where he can say whatever he wants and nobody pushes back. Dr. Disney, you agreed to appear today, so let me ask you. If my wealth tax was the law, you'd own nearly $1.5 million on your fortune. Of course, you'd still be fabulously wealthy, and your wealth, which you said grew by about $7 million last year, would still have grown, but only by about $5.5 million. So let me ask, do you agree with Mr. Cooperman that this increase in your taxes would be, and I'm paraphrasing the word he used, dumping on the American dream?
Well, my American dream would be alive and well, because the only effect a wealth tax would have on me would be to slow the growth of my wealth. It won't be taking anything from me that I need. And my American dream also includes a lot of the people who aren't currently having the benefit of things like roads and schools and parks and good health care and so forth. So to me, it's part of the American dream to step up and pay my fair share.
Thank you. And Ms. Strotter, if I can, let me ask you, a wealth tax would allow us to invest in the health and well-being of your workers. It would help us repair roads so it's easier to get to work. It would help level the playing field for small businesses like yours. How would that affect your ability to pursue the American dream?
Yeah, using the voice of small business, it would allow me to increase my staff. It would allow me to grow from a small size business to a medium sized business. It would allow me to pivot. So right now I'm in the headquarters of the Boston School Department, and right now many of the employees are working from home. So I'm trying to increase my capacity as a caterer. So what would help is the ability to have my business positioned to go after more contract work.
Thank you. That's very helpful. President Biden has called for raising taxes on the wealthy and on giant corporations to fund his Build Back Better agenda, and I agree. A wealth tax raises more revenue from those most able to afford it than just about any other plan on the table. It would allow us to build back better and to make the American dream a reality for millions of families. I now recognize Senator Cassidy for his questions, and once again, I'm going to hand him the gavel while I go vote, and I'll be back.